Tabby.
Well,
so the baby looks a little less scaly than he did this afternoon because he was kind of flaky.
He has cradle cap in his eyebrows. The baby does.
Oh, bless his heart.
I think it was the baptism water. It made him brand new.
What? You can't blame the baptism water.
No, she says it fixed it. It made it go away.
It. Okay.
Oh, hold on. You're about to hear my TV.
So we have so many people on the show tonight. I can't wait. Hans Fiene is on, and his sound is perfect. Say something, Hans.
I'm glad that my sound is perfect.
It's pitch perfect. Listen to that, you guys.
I have a nice microphone, the Rode NT1A.
Woo!
Very fancy.
Fancy.
Everyone pretend like you know what that means. Go.
Well, once he comes on, we're going to have to show. I want to showcase the screen that he's got, the sound dampener, because it's like RoboCop's chest plate.
A sound dampener?
Trying to loosen my load.
I got RoboCop on my mind. Here we got new music. JT's on. Brian's here. Hello, everyone.
Do we not have JUAN today, though?
I don't know where JUAN is. He didn't say he wasn't going to be here, did he?
I thought he was going to be here because
I
he
did
was
too.
excited about
I want
the
to
song.
know where JUAN is.
I want you to show me. This is exactly how we get flagged every single week.
That's how we get ideas every week too, though. I had an art teacher in college named George Moldovan. He was a short little Greek guy, and he smoked cigarettes in class back when it was still legal. And he'd come in every day, and he would sing. He would sing the song that was just playing in his radio right before he got out of the car. And he just burst into the room and make this grand entrance. And one day he came in singing that, but he had the words wrong. And so he came in and he was like, I want to go where love is. I want you to show me.
I want to go where love is.
Well, my love grows where my rosemary goes. So, and nobody knows like me.
Well, love goes.
I didn't sing it. So we wouldn't. So I just said the words. We're not doing that? Never mind. Don't mind me. I'll see you all later. Goodbye, everybody.
All right, I'm going to get this.
Brian
party
April,
started.
everybody. There you go.
Again.
If I can make it awkward, I will.
By the way, JT and Rachel and Julia, you are cheaters. You guys were in the thread like an hour and a half before the show started.
I was making a point to Sherry because Sherry does that every now and then. And I was just like, I'm not going to let Sherry do that this week.
Why does it matter to people to be like first to comment?
That is ingrained in the human fiber, man. Everybody wants to be first.
Competition.
Yep. It's fun to win.
Howdy, Russ.
There's Russ.
Howdy, Joe. Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen.
Everybody got a right to know. This ain't my first rodeo. Hit spotlight, here we go. Are you ready for the show? Are you ready for the show? Are you ready for the show? Are you
Where
ready
did
for
Juan
the
de
show?
Vivo go?
All right, I'm going to take Tabby and Hans backstage.
Take Hans out so we can introduce him proper like.
We will.
And take Tabby out just because I'm afraid that her baby's going to make a loud noise. So who's left? Me and JT and Brian? Is that
So be, I guess. Everybody
Okay.
gonna be so blessed. Hoping you cats gonna
Can't
be
see everybody yet.
impressed. Ain't no time to be depressed. Are you ready for the best?
First.
If you're not ready for the best, that's too bad. Welcome to SCQS. I'm your host, John Branyan. That's Weepy JT up there in the corner. And regular old Brian April tonight, as far as I know, right? You didn't put anything weird in
Nothing
your
weird.
name.
No.
Okay. So we're not sure where JUAN is. It's not really time to panic yet. So those of you who are maybe getting ready to dial the sheriff's office or something like that, hold off until you hear from us. Because it's very possible that he's just out doing a show. He does travel with that little band. and occasionally, they perform in front of thousands of people. And so maybe that's where he's at. Maybe he's doing that. But if he shows up later on, we'll certainly bring him in to the stream. We've got a gigantic show tonight. A gigantic show.
How big is it?
Thank you for asking. Well, I'll tell you, JT, if a typical show is represented by this woolly mammoth, tonight's show looks a little something like this.
Wow!
Wow, that's impressive.
Man, that microscope is huge.
Yeah. Well, the theme is that we've got to stay on focus tonight because we have so many things that we are doing, and we've got so many excellent guests and so many segments that we don't have time for you guys to be spontaneously funny off script. So if you do start to say things that are entertaining and fun, and we start to sort of roll with them, I'm going to have to put a stop to it because we've got to stay focused.
We just won't say anything funny.
That's right.
Right. And so, that being said, before we get to the show, we need to give a shout out to our clickers.
Clickers are great. They're super amazingly great. Athletic and fun and super smart. Their beautiful faces a work of art. Clickers are great. They're wonderful, pretty, and great. Without them, we'd be destitute and drifting into the abyss. Lovely clickers, we blow you a kiss. Of all the pigs in Branion's book, the smartest one's the bricker. But even he's not smarter than a brilliant SCQS clicker.
Oh, now we're doing comparative analysis during the Clicker of the Week. All right, this week, in no particular order of importance, our clickers are Tracy Rose and Louise Bear.
Bear.
Thank you to all of our clickers, especially to Louise and Tracy. If you would like to be a clicker, if you would like to join our merry band and have JT sing your praises every single week, go to johnbrandy.com. You can sign up. It's almost free. It's less than the price of a cup of coffee, depending on where you get your coffee. If you get your coffee for free, it's more than that. But you can join our Affert Party. We occasionally have game nights. The Affert Party features us talking about the show, future shows, horsing around, doing stuff that we're not allowed to do. Can I say that?
Being off-scripted and funny.
Right.
We're not allowed to do
Which
tonight.
we are not going to do tonight. Right? So it's going to be different from the rest of this show. All right. Go to John Brady. Thank you. Thanks to our clickers. That's all I need to say. All right. This week, back by popular demand, a man who is no stranger to Starving Comics. He has been on a couple of times already, and every time he comes on, it's super fun, and we always ask ourselves, why don't we have Hans Fiene come back more often? And so we don't need to ask ourselves that tonight, because, ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Hans Fiene.
Hello. Oh, that was very nice play-in music.
You're welcome.
That's your theme song. Now, Hans, I have a segment that I didn't tell anybody that I wanted to do, and it's going to be short tonight. But we've got time because we're not going to horse around and be funny on anything else. But the segment is called it's called the Lutheran Perspective, and I didn't even tell you about this. But what it's going to be is a simple question that I'm going to ask you, and you will represent the totality of Lutheran perspective. Okay, so your answer to this question will be applied to all Lutherans everywhere.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine. I was elected the king of Lutheran Twitter on a poll a couple of years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm the Pope of Lutheranism now. And then my first action was to delegitimize any subsequent tournament elections. So they have a tournament every year, but I refuse to acknowledge.
Perfect. I see.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. But so
Yeah.
this is this is perfect for you. Yeah, this is perfect. This must be providential. So the king of Lutherans is going to answer the question. All right. So what we want to do is, Pete, our producer, what we want to do is put him up on the screen all by himself, because I've got a big old overlay here for the Now you have to kind of scooch over a little bit.
Hold on. Nope, that's good. Everything's backwards. All right.
There we go.
Leaning over now. Okay, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I'm going to look at Luther.
the Lutheran perspective. Don't look at him. He can't help you.
All right.
Toilet paper hangs in the front or behind?
So a common misconception, much like the idea that good works are necessary for salvation, is that toilet paper should hang in the front because it's closer to you. This is a worldly way of thinking. Just in the same way that the gospel is foolishness to those who are perishing, toilet paper is foolishness to those who are pooping. And so you actually it should hang backwards because it's actually easier to grab and rip it that way. And also anyone who's had cats knows that they can't get it to unroll if you hang it backwards. So actually, counterintuitive as it may seem, hang it in the back. But this brings us to a deeper conversation, which is the American resistance to the bidet, that I feel like at some point our culture needs to have that conversation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's the Lutheran perspective.
Thank you.
From the Twitter-proclaimed King of Lutherans.
Yeah.
So it has to
Thank
be
you
true.
for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to embrace that information.
Yeah, I'm not sure that toilet paper is foolishness to those who are pooping, is it?
Well, can I say this just on the note of toilets? A number of years ago, I was in Russia and I had been traveling, and your stomach gets upset. And so I went in to use the bathroom in a train station, and it was a Turkish toilet, which for those of you who don't know is a hole in the ground. And that was a point in my life when I began to question whether the Christian community has really ironed out our position on suicide. Because in that moment, I just thought to myself, I think this would be okay. I just think in that moment, it's like, right? I'll just die rather than do what has to come next. So don't take your life. Your life is a valuable treasure, but at the same time,
shout out to Bathroom Fire.
Oh gosh.
Right. I've encountered one of those toilets in Japan, and it occurred to me that it's like if I had to they had regular toilets there as well. Otherwise, I would have just not been able to go to the bathroom for the whole time that I was in Japan, because it requires a tremendous amount of
accuracy.
Aim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aim.
And they're designed for, shall we say, rifles. They're not designed for a shotgun with a wide spread.
Right. A laser's better. Like a rail gun.
Right.
Well, the thought that went through my head, and this is completely inappropriate, but it's the thought that went through my head, is you wouldn't need a plunger with one of those toilets. All you would need is a putter. Didn't go right. So
they could sell them for $5 at IKEA.
Right. Right. You get your own little.
Yeah.
It's a tap in. Just a tap in. It's a gimme.
They would call it like the poop and scooping.
Okay, I feel like we're rabbit trailing here, and we're not focusing. And that might have been my fault. JT, we have a song this week.
Oh, yes.
And
all right.
Do you want to set this up, or? Okay.
Yeah, sure. We started talking about what song we were going to do this week, and somebody talked about all the things that make Tabitha cry. Mm-hmm. So we decided to write a song about that. And so we've been bouncing ideas.
By the way, I'm putting Tabby in the stream for this, so
yes.
Enjoy this, Tabby.
I am so sweaty.
So I'm not a guitar player, so I'm going to do my best. I've been practicing just for you, Tabitha.
Okay.
Our inspiration for this was actually The Sound of Music. But we're trying to steer clear of doing a parody just so we don't get flagged. So this is for you, Tabitha. Gumdrops and late fees and cute little rabbits. Red Solo cups and annoying bad habits. Falling downstairs, getting poked in the eye. These are the things that make Tabitha cry. People who eat too much, hormonal feelings. being left out, and the biblical healings. That song Joseph sings, you know better than I. These are the things that make Tabitha cry. Misplaced apostrophes, ice cream that melted, losing your keys in a bad neighborhood, staring with rage at the spot where the statue of President Roosevelt formerly stood. ASPCA commercials at midnight, making a list of the things your spouse did right. Kids playing nicely and blueberry pie. These are the things that make Tabitha cry. Tabitha, I wonder if you're crying tonight. You know, someone said the world's a stage, and each must play a part. Fate gave you overactive tear ducts. Now everything breaks your heart. Act 1 is when you wake up. Something adorable happens, and you never miss a cue. Then comes Act 2. You sense a change, you're feeling strange, and why you never knew. Tabitha, you cried, and it seemed authentic, and we had no cause to doubt you. And so we've spent the week writing this song and secretly talking about you. Now the stage is bare, and you're standing there with teardrops all around. And if a day ever comes when you don't cry, they can bring the curtain down. Every time that a child shows affection, that scene where Bruce Bogtrotter eats chocolate cake, that time when she thought she might hurt her piano instructor by saying she needed a break. Pink cotton candy and milkshakes in summer, reruns of MASH and the film Dumb and Dumber. Scour the world, I dare you to try to find something that doesn't make Tabitha cry. Everything in the universe makes Tabsha cry.
Ready, club.
There you go, Tabitha.
Mm-hmm.
That was for you.
Every girl kind of dreams that a song would get written about her. I just didn't expect mine to be about how much I cry.
It was pretty accurate though, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't really make anything.
There was a few things in there that I thought, that seems like that was just in there to make a rhyme. But yeah, a lot of those things in there do actually make me cry.
There were
But-
specific things I got from your dad and your sister that, so,
Yes.
yep.
Yes,
You
I have
could
been
probably
really
tell.
nervous about this. I legitimately was like, I don't want to cry on Skew. I don't want to do that. But we're good.
You soldiered
Okay.
right through.
We do not have time to be any funnier than that, so we have to say goodbye to Tabby.
Bye,
All
Tabby.
right, Tab.
Bye, Tabby. Oops,
Tabby,
I
that's
can't get her out
kicking
of
her off the
street.
show is probably going to make her cry.
No.
Oh, and then Peaches left too. I just froze for a second, so I heard her say, "We don't have any more time. We have to say goodbye to Tabitha," and then it was just this. So, all right. So what we're going to do, because we've had some people, I'm not going to name them, but it was Brian and JT, who think that we need to do more stand-up on the show. We need to feature more comedy. And so when we first started the show, whenever it was, back in 2020, is it that long ago? It was silent. It was the Starving Comics quarantine show because we were all in lockdown and we had no choice. Now we actually do have a choice, and we're still doing this show because we love it. And one of the things that we did was we had to get used to doing comedy in front of cameras where there's no feedback from the audience. And so we developed this thing called Silent Standup Theater. Silent Standup Theater is each of us taking a turn to do some of our comedy material, just a short little bit of comedy material, while everybody else on screen just stares at us and it gives us no reaction, so that it will toughen us up and get us used to doing material and not getting a reaction from the audience. And so, Silent Standup Theater. I don't know if Hans, did you bring a bit that you want to do? Because
I've never done stand-up before, but I'm going to try a bit.
Okay, awesome. So we have to figure out who's going to go first. JT, are you going to do a bit too? I know if JUAN was here, you don't have to. In fact, he's not even, he's muted.
Yeah.
I'll do a
Okay.
joke.
You
Sure,
want to do a joke?
I'll do
Okay.
a joke.
All right, if JUAN was here, he would definitely do it too. And so what we'll do is we'll take turns. I'll go ahead and I'll go first, just because I'm actually the one who's the most used to not getting laughs. So I'll go first, and when the producer senses that it's the end, or I'll just say scene at the end, and then the producer will put up the scene, and then that'll be the end of it. The goal is not to give any reaction or support in any way for this bit. All right, here we go. Pizza has become a staple, and one of the staples in this country is Little Caesars Pizza. And I know that JT worked at Little Caesars, and this is not meant to be personal against JT, but Little Caesars has the dumbest slogan that a pizza company has ever come up with. Little Caesars' slogan is currently hot and ready. Hot and ready are the two adjectives that they use to describe Little Caesars Pizza. Hot and ready. So it's like, is it any good? Well, it's available. Is it going to make me sick? You can eat it right now. That's the best they can say about it. Ready isn't even really important about a pizza. It's pizza. Pizza's not a fireman. I can wait a little bit if it's not ready. And the thing is, neither hot nor ready are necessarily positive adjectives. Hot and ready actually describes the condition of a nuclear core before it melts down. You can slot in the word delicious for either of those words, and it's a much better slogan. The thing about Little Caesars is they've never been good at slogans. When they first started, Little Caesars' slogan was pizza, 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 pizza. So all they did was repeat the name of the product as a slogan. Their slogan was literally a stutter. But that was the gimmick. You pay for one pizza and you get a second one for free. Now, anyone who has any confidence in their product isn't going to do that. Hey, here's a pizza, and here's another pizza. Trust us, you're going to feel a little bit ripped off when you taste that first one, so here's another one. As if that's the cure for disappointment in mediocre pizza. Another mediocre pizza. More mediocre pizza. Ugh, this pizza isn't very good either, but at least I didn't have to wait for it. And scene.
So can we clap?
Yeah,
We can now. You can't.
Oh,
you
yay!
can't-
That
Yeah,
was
you can't
great.
react during the bit.
Okay.
We have to
That was
recreate
great, man.
comedy club open mic conditions.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
it's
that.
It's a little weak. Yeah.
But I also think, though, the thing I love about Little Caesars is it's not good, but you cannot discount the fact that there's value in being able to feed a family of 10 for $11.
Right, but that's,
They might die, but they'll be fed.
but they'll be full when they expire. But they don't even say that. If they said cheap and ready, then that would be,
Right.
affordable and ready, whatever. But it's just hot and ready. So.
Well, they can't call it pizza anymore because it's not really pizza. It's kind of like Kentucky Fried Chicken is no longer.
Right.
They don't say chicken because it's not technically chicken.
What is
It's
it?
KFC. It's just some chemical thing.
They should call it Little Caesars, the pizza for girls who married the guy they used to bully in middle school.
That would be a better slogan.
Like, you've settled. This will be acceptable to you.
This girl at
Food
the
for
Little
people who've
Caesars.
settled.
It's almost better than starving. That's what you call it.
The word almost is important in
There you go.
that.
That's-
Details.
you
matter.
you may have that, John, if you would like.
Almost better than starving.
I agree with
Almost.
Tabby. She says the set needs you to give examples of other product names that would be ridiculous if they just repeated it, or other slogans like Staples paper.
Pencil. Yeah. All right, you ready to go,
Depends
Brian?
could be incontinence, incontinence.
Poopy.
Mine are going to kind of go. I got two kind of quick ones. So,
Okay.
all right. So I was. This is a true story. I was driving with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, and she turns to me. She goes, "Brian, look, I know you don't like mango juice. I know you don't like mangoes, right? I know you don't like the taste of mangoes, but you have to try this. This is amazing." I said, "Okay, well, what is it?" She goes, "It's mango juice, but you can barely taste the mango." And I was like, "Why? Why would you even tell that to me? Why would you offer?" I wouldn't go up to you and go, "Listen, I know you don't like the taste of manure, right? Okay, I know you don't like the taste of manure, but you have to try this. This is amazing." "Oh, what is it?" "It's kale, but you can barely taste the manure." Because I hate kale, and I don't know what dumpster they grow it in, but we need to find it and burn it. So that's one. And the other thing, I don't know if you guys are familiar with these things called NFTs. It's this new cryptocurrency thing that everyone's doing, these digital pictures that you can do. And people who are really into NFTs are like the new annoying people. There was used to be like vegans would never shut up about the thing they were passionate about. And then it was like CrossFit people. And now it's these NFT people. And I think the NFT stands for nonstop frantic talking. That's basically all they do. And I would rather go sit with the vegans because they're cooler. And then lastly, I just had this thought about Thanksgiving. And here's one thing I do not understand about Thanksgiving. You have Thanksgiving on Thursday, and then next day is Black Friday. So you spend all day Thursday sitting there going, let's just be thankful for the things that we have. And then 8 hours later, you're wrestling an old lady in line for a rice cooker. Like, give me that, So, end scene.
End scene.
Yay!
Okay. I'm sorry, but I couldn't hear anything you said after your friend said it's mango juice, and that was it for me. Like everything else you said, I was just concentrating on not breaking.
That's a true story.
That's
I know
great.
you don't like mangoes. I know you don't like mangoes, but you just got to try this. What is it? It's mango juice. Okay.
I know you don't like the thing, but have you tried a more concentrated version of the thing?
Exactly.
I know you don't like mangoes, but this is just the juice from mangoes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Doesn't have any of the stuff you did that you didn't eat before.
That's right.
Doesn't have the rind, anything.
Mango. I liked the mango thing, Brian.
Yeah, that was
Thank
great.
you.
And then the twist was it's kale, but you can
And the
barely
kale, yeah.
Yeah, that
you
was
can
good.
barely taste the manure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're a pro. All right. You want to go, Hunt?
I'll give it a shot.
You want to give it a shot?
All right. Here we go.
Can't do worse.
I like the Bible, and one of my favorite people in the Bible is Reuben, because Reuben is a lunatic, and he tries so hard and is an absolute disaster. So when Reuben is younger, he's the firstborn son, so he's supposed to get the birthright and the blessing. He's supposed to be the really special one. But then he messes up because he lays with his father's concubine. We don't really have concubines anymore, but imagine laying with your concubine is equivalent to snorting your father's cocaine. You shouldn't have done it, but he probably shouldn't have had it in the house. So Reuben is all his life trying to get back into his father's good graces. He's trying to impress his dad and regain his status. And so after he and his brothers go down to Egypt, and they meet Joseph, and they don't realize that it's Joseph, and Joseph goes, hey, I bet you guys have a younger brother. And they go, yeah, actually we do. And he goes, oh, well, I'm going to throw your brother Simeon in jail, and you got to go back and go get your younger brother if you want to get him back. So they all go back. And they're trying to convince Joseph, their father, to let him take Benjamin down there. And he won't do it because Benjamin is his most cherished possession in the whole world. So Reuben's going to step up to the plate, and he's going to convince his dad that this is all good. He's got this taken care of. And he goes to his father, and he says, Dad, I promise you, I will pledge to you that if I don't bring Benjamin back safely, you can take the lives of my sons as a substitute. which is nuts. Because if you look, just take a half step back. Here's what Ruben is saying. He's going, Dad, you know these two adorable grandchildren I gave you? And his dad's like, yeah. He's like, you know how you like play with them every day and you bounce them on your knee? And his dad goes, yeah. And he goes, okay, if I don't bring Benjamin back, you can murder them. You just, like, I'm not saying you're going to have to, but like those two kids you love so much, just bury them in the ground. It's not going to be a big deal. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. It's an insane bargain that he offers. And it made me wonder how Ruben would have done at other points in history. Like if Ruben had become a doctor and he's taken the Hippocratic Oath and he stands up and he puts up his hand and he goes, guys, I vow that I will not do any harm. And if I do, I got this cousin named Jeff, and you can just like blast him in the face, like so hard, so many times. I mean, I love this guy so much, and I know you love him too, and you're not gonna have to do it. But if it makes you feel better, I'll be a doctor, and I can promise you that if I mess up, you can just smash him in the face and make him look like the Phantom of the Opera. Or he's making his wedding vows, and this is why you don't let people write their own wedding vows, because this is what they come up with. And he's staring at his bride, and he goes, my darling, I love you so much, and I pledge my loyalty to you, and I want you to know that I will be faithful. And if ever I'm not, I've got like 6 kittens in my basement, and you can just slaughter those things. I've got like a blender, you can put them right in it. I cheat, 5 minutes later, calico smoothie. And you're not going to have to drink it, because I'm not going to cheat. You'll never need to doubt my love. But if I do, it will make you feel so much better to know that you can murder 6 cats in the blender. Scene.
Oh, calico smoothie. I love that.
That's great.
Calico Smoothie sounds like a mid-'90s kind of all-girl college rock band.
It does.
Josie and the Calico Smoothie.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, his father's concubine, which is sniffing your father's cocaine, which is you shouldn't do, but he shouldn't have it in the house anyway.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Well done. I'm terrible at keeping a straight face anyway. I'm always the worst at this.
That was good.
All right, JT, you ready to tell your little joke?
Sure. Actually, it's a really brief story. It's a little snippet from a tour I did with a friend of mine who's actually in the chat room tonight, Daydreamer Pictures. We used to do children's theater together, and we took Pinocchio down to Etowah, Tennessee one time to do a day of performances for school kids. So they would bus them into this old theater in town, and we had this old guy playing Geppetto, and he had this little song he sang about the wishing star. And we were behind the set while this was happening because he's making Pinocchio, and singing this song about the wishing star. And we had this little electronic star that would light up. And at one point in the song, we would hold the sparkling star above the set, and it would rise above the set. And Geppetto would look up and go, "Oh, look, Pinocchio, the wishing star." And then he'd finish the song, and it would sparkle, and it was beautiful. So we did the morning show, and we had the rest of the day to just hang around Etowah. And that night when we came back, somebody had gotten into the theater and messed with our props, and the sparkle star was gone. So it was stolen. And we didn't know it until we got right to that moment in the show. So we're backstage, Geppetto's singing the wishing star song to Pinocchio, and we're frantically looking around for this sparkling star that's supposed to appear in the air in the middle of the song, and we can't find it. And so I'm looking around, and Jeff comes back from the back part of the theater back in the wing space, and he's got this enormous industrial-sized plumber's wrench. I mean, if you can imagine a wrench that's about 6 feet long and has a claw on the end of it like this, he goes, "How about this?" And I was like, "Okay, that's all we got." So it took both of us to lift this thing, but when it came that time in the show for the wishing star, we just hoisted this plumber's wrench up in the air, and it was hovering above the set. And Geppetto turns around and he goes, "Oh, look, Pinocchio." And there's a pause, and he goes, "It's the wrench constellation." It's a true story. That's how improv. That's how improv happens.
Why couldn't you? It's theater, right? So if there's no actual star there, he could still say, "Look, it's the wishing star," and everyone in the audience would go, "Oh, they must see it from their angle."
Right. We just felt like we had to lift something up in the air at that point.
Look.
That brought to my mind, not to do the thing where I try to one up your story, but my high school choir teacher told me she once saw a production of West Side Story where, at the end of West Side Story, so Chino comes out and he shoots Tony, and then Maria gives the speech where she's like, "How many people could I shoot?" And she tells them not to be violent, not to murder each other and stuff. And but they lost the prop gun. And they couldn't find it, and so she had to just run out on. So Chino just ran out on stage and karate chopped Tony to death, and then Maria had to come out and go. How many people can I hit, Chino? Can I? She's having just on the fly. You had to just choose between bang with nothing in your hand, and just GoldenEye 1996 when you don't have the gun,
Yes. That's why live theater is so wonderful and beautiful.
Have you ever played? Of course you have. We play GoldenEye on the 64 with no weapons, and you just slap each other to death.
Yeah. You got to crouch down when you do it, because that way they can't
get you back.
Down trying to get you there. Yeah. Yeah, but
he has played it.
But when people have asked me, what historical event do you wish you could go back in time and see? That's the one I want to see.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I would give half my kingdom just to be there in the crowd that night.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh! You remember weren't you telling the story, JT, about the Lion King, or was that?
I told the story about Tosca, the opera in New York. Did I tell that one? I don't remember the Lion King one.
Who told the story about the Lion King where they came out? They had the cage.
Oh, that's me. It wasn't Lion King though.
No.
It was Wicked. It was in Wicked where they carry what turns out to be the Cowardly Lion in a cage at the first act, and like the prince comes running out with one of the witches, and is supposed to carry it. He's supposed to just run out on stage, but what he did was he slipped on like some moisture that was on the stage and just bliffed so hard that like the cage broke into a billion pieces. The stuffed lion went tumbling across the stage. He like seriously hurt his ankle. Like he actually ended up having to be out for a couple of weeks while they like fixed his ankle, and he like tore his costume and stuff. So this is massive like cacophony of noise and banging, and the audience gasps like. And the next line is, I think it's Glinda says, "Careful, don't jostle him." So that's what she says. And then the prince says from the ground, he's still on the ground, and he kind of looks up at her pained, and he says his line, which is, "I won't."
Define jostle.
That's great.
Yeah, theater's great. All right, so there we go. We did the silent stand-up, and I sort of agree with JT and Brian that from time to time it's good to do bits because just to try them out, just to say them, because once you say them, then it's easier to say them again. So thanks for indulging us. Silent Standup Theater. It's not a competition either, so please, there's no wagering. There's no winners or losers here.
No losers except the audience.
That's right. That's what we've said, isn't it? Nobody loses except the audience.
That's a T-shirt right there.
Mm-hmm. No losers except the audience. Okay. I have a new game that I have developed that we're going to play now, and this is the first time we've played it, and it's. I'm glad that Hans is here because this is a game that I think is going to be right up his alley. There are poems that are circulating in meme form on social media, and for some reason they have there's been an influx of them in my feed, and I don't like poetry. I don't care about it, but it's in my feed, and so Maddie has a poem that's going to set this up.
Well, I don't know if it's a
was
poem,
sort of
but it
the
is another
inspiration.
inspirational quote that I read the other day, actually shared on one of my social media feeds by a acquaintance. And it says this: prepare to be encouraged. The other day I was hanging out with a friend. This friend is a Christian, but doesn't always act like one. Some days she's in line with God's word, and some days life's struggles get the best of her. As our eyes met, I really wanted to say something about it, but decided to let the Lord speak to her, knowing nothing I could say would have the same impact as her father's words. So I prayed with her, and after some time passed, I winked at her and walked away from the mirror.
We'll give JT a moment to compose himself.
Thank you, Amanda.
And walked away from the mirror.
So when you're brushing your teeth tomorrow morning, give a little wink
It should
to the
have
friend in the
been.
mirror.
It should have been. We winked at each other.
Yeah.
But that would have gave it away.
Simultaneously.
In that vein, the poetry that I have seen has been written by the pseudonym is a guy named Mark Anthony, and he's got a whole website and books that he sells of this particular poetry. And so the game is, I have got actual poetry from this guy, and then I have written a poem that is in the same vein, and so there's an A and a B. One of them I wrote. One of them is an actual poem that he wrote, and the game is you have to figure out which one I wrote. Okay, so if this is popular, I didn't do very many. I think I only did 6 or 7 of these. But all right, so the A is so many people in the world, yet I'm madly in love with only you. And B is so many people in the world, yet I'm only one of them.
I think you wrote B, but even as a joke, that's more profound. You were like, I feel like you were mocking something and inadvertently were wiser than it.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. What do you think, JT?
I think you wrote B.
Hans says B.
Yeah, it seems too obvious. So I don't know. I'm gonna go A. I'm gonna go.
Oh, really?
It just seems like it's too obvious that like you go okay, and so maybe that's why I should go B. Is because it's too obvious that my instinct is to say B. So I'm like, all right, well I'll go A because John's gonna try to pull a switch, and then
this is gonna be hard.
Yeah. Well, Tabby,
I'm going
Tabby
A.
thinks I wrote A, and Brian's going A, and I actually wrote B. That is correct. But I understand your logic, Brian. It's like it seems so obvious that John would have written B that he probably wrote. Yeah. All right. One day a love will find you to remind you love is real. Or B, one day a love so real will remind you that love never forgets.
Isn't A song lyrics?
Both of those need a copy editor.
Love will find you.
Oh, break those chains.
Those
Yeah,
chains that bind you.
Separate Ways by Journey. One.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with B again.
I'm gonna go A.
A.
Mm-hmm. So the pool is split A and A and B.
Yeah, I think you wrote A.
Tabby thinks I wrote B. Carr thinks B. A. Okay, so this one everybody's kind of divided. And this one, what's encouraging to me about this is that I have evidently succeeded in copying the tone and the tenor and the depth. But I wrote B. Yeah, the actual poem The actual poem that is being sold in book form by an author is "One day a love will find you to remind you love is real."
Let's have
An actual
Palpatine read this next one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Palpatine's going to read these.
Love is a tranquil yet stormy. Like a storm on a quiet ocean, you cannot rush what is meant to be unless it isn't meant to be. Remember, love is calm and infinite as the sea and never needs to be rushed. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
I'm going to go with A because it has a typo in it.
Yeah, I'm going to say you can disregard the typo because
So you did, like, these aren't,
was
you
my
didn't
fault.
take images from the book. Okay.
No, these I had to type these, and so the typo should not be regarded as indicative of. The typo is just my bad typing. So.
Did you say the guy who does these is named Mark Anthony?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the guy who used to be married to Jennifer Lopez, and then they got divorced, and then they had their separate sections of clothes at Kohl's. Remember that? They're going through like a really high-profile divorce, and you're going to buy khakis, and you're like, I'm right in the middle of this. This is just really uncomfortable.
Does Alex Rodriguez have any clothing line? I'm going to say A.
I'm going to go with A as well.
I'm going to go with B. I think you wrote B.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the jury thinks. So you, Brian and Hans will say A.
Everybody in comments is saying A.
That I wrote A.
Yep.
Oh, so I'm alone here. I think you wrote B.
Mm-hmm. I wrote A.
Yeah,
Oh.
3 for 3.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the actual poet wrote B. That's really good. That's really good, Hans.
John, you got another book deal going here.
You think
you
so?
can compete with this guy. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Is there another one? I can't remember how many I did. There was the juices were flowing, and when the juices are flowing,
Yeah.
So what we do? Morgan Freeman this time, Brian?
Sure. Can you give us a little light music?
Yeah, sure.
A little narration music? She only showed her silly side to those she thought worthy. Hello, silly girl. Can you spare a priceless smile or a humble beggar's heart?
Oh, this makes me feel dirty. It makes me just feel grimy.
I'm going to say B.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say about this is that if you didn't write B, I'm going to find this guy and punch him in the mouth.
And make him drink a calico smoothie.
Yeah, or a mango. Eat a mango.
Yeah. Well, you got to put mango in the calico smoothie.
Yes.
I mean, it's not just calico.
A mango calico smoothie.
That's the song for next week.
I was going to say
calico smoothie.
Calico smoothies next week's song. Okay, so Hans says B. Everybody's like going to go with Hans now because they think he's dialed in to my frequency.
Comments are all saying B. I have not seen or heard the answers to this, and I would go with B. But
That I wrote it?
No, sorry, that you wrote A and that B was the original.
I just don't want to believe that.
No.
I know the internet. I know how bad the internet is. So
I this wasn't just random. I actually did some research and I used some. I read a lot of stuff to write these. But the answer is B. I wrote B, and A was the original.
Hope for humanity is just very...
That's a relief. That's a relief for Hans. He doesn't have to hunt the guy down and kill him.
Yeah.
That's a relief. All right, Brian, you can pick a voice for this one. I don't care.
Okay. Well, I guess we haven't done Snape in ages. So. Never go back to someone who isn't sure you're the one. When you're the one, it's never too far or too hard to go back for you.
Mr. Potter.
Mm-hmm. Now what do you think, Weisenheimer?
I want to
This is-
say B.
You think I wrote B?
Yes.
I don't know what B means. I mean, none of these mean anything, but just grammatically. When you're the one, it's never too far or too hard to go back for you.
Yes. You know why you
Does that
don't
mean
understand?
it's never too hard for you to go back? Or, like,
Do you know why you don't understand it, Hans? Because your heart is hardened and blackened.
yeah.
It's kind of like when you have to go back on a mission, like, oh, we forgot. We forgot the objective.
Well, you got to remember who these are written to. You got to remember you're not the intended audience. None of you guys are the intended audience. These are written to chicks.
These are written to girls who married the guy they made fun of in middle school and now have to eat Little Caesars.
That's right.
Right.
It's what their husbands buy them for Christmas.
There you go.
And
you
that
open
and gift
it up?
certificates to Little Caesars.
Yeah.
I want to go with that you wrote A because that one actually makes a measure of sense.
Well, thank you. So is that what you think, Brian? JT?
B.
B.
Brian thinks
B all the way.
So you
I
both
vote B.
think I wrote B,
Yeah.
and Hans says that I wrote A this time. Okay. Do you have a guess this time, Peach?
I think you wrote B.
I wrote B.
Ah,
I'm sorry, Hans.
it's okay.
That's the end of your streak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never go back to
And I don't
someone
know-
who isn't sure you're the one.
I don't know if we have another one, but if we do, we do.
We-
And Russ Noonan requests Karen,
Oh,
which I feel like that's super appropriate for
I
these.
forgot about Karen. Yeah, we should
Okay.
definitely have Karen.
I don't know how easy it is to whip out that.
Please have exact change. The driver of my heart carries no cash. The heart never lies, never sleeps, never realized the magic beneath.
I didn't. You know what? If I can read these in Karen's voice, I take back everything I said about Mark Anthony.
Honestly, Brian, when I didn't look at the slide, like I had my head down, so I didn't even read the poems before you started reading. And when you said, please have exact change, I thought you were ad-libbing before you started the poem.
Oh.
Nope.
I think you wrote A, John, because I know you agree with me that the heart is desperately wicked. So
Yeah, I'm going to go with A. It's A's a
yeah.
little too clever to not be ironic.
Yeah, I'm going to A.
Okay, so is that everybody going to say A?
Yeah.
Well, King Sisters are saying it's hard, but they did guess A. Jeff Lane says A, but Joseph M says B. It's pretty even.
I just think the heart never lies is the giveaway, since I know you.
My heart is like an Uber.
Go with that. Lean into it. The answer a lot of people are saying A. A lot of people are saying A. The answer is I wrote both of those.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, you got
Both
me.
of those. I was feeling it. Like I said, the juices were flowing. My chakras were in line. And
I love how you've mixed the tenses in the second one there.
Yeah.
Lies, sleeps, and then realized. You went into past tense. all of a
So
sudden,
everybody
halfway
was
through.
right.
Everybody was
Was right. And now,
Everybody
as a
wins.
reward, you should look yourself right in the eye in the mirror and wink.
Everybody give yourself a wink.
Everybody, be kind to the
me to
friend
you.
in the mirror.
Oh, you know what that just made me think of? This is actually for the effort party. We should talk about this, but we should play a round of the Your Best Life Now game on SKUs. Wouldn't that be awesome?
It's one of those games
I
that's
can-
better to talk about.
I can tell by the way you're shaking your head that it's an excellent idea, and I'm writing it down.
You can talk about it, make fun of it, but you get about 10 seconds into it and you're like, I think I get the gist of this.
Hans Fiene, did you know that Joel Osteen actually has a board game in production? Did you know that?
I don't know that as a fact or as the setup for a joke.
It's actually both. He really does have it, and it is a setup for a joke.
Is it a strategy board game? Is it worker placement?
Yeah, you just you hide cash in walls.
Yeah.
That's what you do. And
Right. You lose
Don't
if you
tell-
say the name of Jesus.
don't tell the government. That's what it's
Or
called.
if you actually use scripture at any point in the game?
It's a live action role playing game. It's a LARP. No, it's a for real game, and we should do it one week because it's impossible to describe, and it is absolutely fantastic.
Look
So
what,
I'm
look what
ready to do
Daydreamer Pictures wrote there, Amanda.
Oops, I missed.
your best die roll now.
I don't think it has any dice.
It doesn't.
Good.
That would be gambling.
It doesn't have any die if you declare it. If you declare it, you won't die.
Oh, that's true. Maybe it did have dice, but I just declared it didn't, and now it doesn't.
Is die the plural or singular of dice? Which
Die
is
is
Die
singular,
is
and
the
I
singular.
just used it wrong.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird plural form.
Yes. Roll the die.
Right. You don't buy your kid a pet my, and
Wait.
then if he gets two, he has
No,
mice.
dice is plural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dice
Die
is
is
plural,
singular.
like mice, you know.
Yeah.
One my,
One
two
die.
mice.
Right.
And geese.
Yeah.
Gooses.
Right. Right.
You went by
gooses.
like one gee, two geese. One moo.
Hey, speaking of Tabby, when Tabby was a little kid, she used to think it was two mailbox, one
Right.
mailbox.
One mailbox.
That's adorable.
Tabby's the best. One mailbox.
Oh, little 5-year-old Tabby was the best. She also pulled a pair of pants out of the laundry basket, and she goes, "Look, I found my." And she paused for a second, and then she looked up at me and said, "Chloe."
It was just one item.
One
item.
clo.
She had a
A whole
problem.
basket of clothes.
Right.
She
yeah.
found just one clo.
Plurals are confusing. Well, the other Tabby thing, she's not even in the room right now. She's probably listening. My wife was reading a book to her little brother, and Tabby was probably 7 or 8 years old, and she's sitting at the dining room table, and I'm across from her. They're in the living room, and they're reading about John the Baptist, and my wife is reading to Andrew. John the Baptist went around telling people about Jesus. He wandered around in the desert, and he ate oak locusts and wild honey, and he preached the gospel. And there she is, she's listening. And Tabby she kind of looks up at me. She doesn't look up from her writing, but she just kind of does this. And she goes, "I'll bet there weren't very many people listening to him preach in the desert." And she goes right back to... So,
Well,
preached-
you went and
preached a few deserts.
you went and were too funny, and now we only have like 4 minutes left before we're supposed to be done with this broadcast. So
So we don't have time to play Quiplash.
no time for Quiplash. I can say that my 8-year-old also had kind of a funny. He's writing comedy all of a sudden too, with his little questions or observations. And just the other day, he looks up from school and says, "Why does this say good job?" And I said, "What is it?" And he said, "It's my eraser."
That's good. Yeah.
That's comedy, right?
Good question, bud.
Yeah.
Well,
The
it's like
eraser
C.S.
says,
Lewis
"Good
said, if you've made a mistake, the best thing to do is to, go back. So if you've made a mistake, if you erase it, then it's a good job, right?
Yeah,
So it's a C.S. Lewis eraser.
that must
Yeah,
that must be it. It's theology.
Right.
Yeah.
Congratulations for
a
recognizing
Lou
that you
Racer.
made a mistake.
Lou Racer.
Yeah, Rachel's is sad about it. And, when we do play Quiplash, Hans, I do want you to come back and play with us because
I will
think
come back
you,
and play.
you would be awesome at
I'm
Quiplash.
sorry, Rachel, but these boys were specifically instructed not to be funny, and
Not
then
to
they
be
went
Sorry.
and made jokes. So
I know. I tried.
I
to
watched
keep
the
it moving.
video of it. It looked very fun. So it was one of the things was like inappropriate things to do in a graveyard, and mine was going to be have a baby because that's just
those-
showing off.
Right. That's exactly.
I
that's
think he's going to
exactly-
do okay
Yeah,
when
Yeah,
we
it'll
do
be
it.
fine. We discovered Quiplash several years ago, and it was on Thanksgiving. and the family was over, and we just, hey, there's this game we can get. Let's try it. Let's see if it's any good. And we probably spent 6 hours.
Yeah.
We spent the whole day.
No.
6
man.
hours.
And we laughed so hard. It's such a great game.
Oh, that's
But we're out of time. The King sisters are disappointed, but they're Canadian. They're disappointed all the time anyway.
They're just cold.
they're
they're
cold.
not really angry.
They're cold and angry.
They're just
and-
cold.
but we'll definitely have you come back. It's always great. It's always great to have Hans come on. One of the things that we like about you, Hans, is that we know that we can just throw you whatever curveball we want to throw, and you're not going to panic. And
It's one of the perks of having ADD. There are people ask you like, "Where do you get your ideas from?" Or like, "How do you?" And you go, "I my brain doesn't work the right way." That's how it happens. I tried to take medicine for it, and I had panic attacks. So instead, I just do this.
I just ping pong around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what we love. So that's it. It's time for the Snappy Wrap Up. I don't have the Snappy Wrap Up generator up. Should I get it?
It would be better. You do have a minute. Like you have
All right,
60
I'll get
seconds
them.
that you can get.
Hang
So
on
the
a
way
minute.
this works is we put a whole bunch of phrases and nouns and other ideas into this generator, and it will tell us the method with which one of the hosts or a few of them need to read the credits at the end. In the meantime, you can find well, JUAN wasn't even here today. Should we plug his goofy little band?
Yeah, put his little band up there.
They
Casting Crowns.
do need the exposure.
They need
Yeah.
the exposure.
Everybody go throw them a bone. If you haven't heard of Casting Crowns, just go visit their website, johnthomasoaks.com to support JT, and Brian's Patreon at patreon.com/comedybrian. Where can everyone find you, Hans?
So on Twitter, Hans Fiene, at Hans Fiene, Fiene, also lutheransatire.org, and YouTube, Lutheran Satire.
Yay!
Definitely Lutheran Satire. Go to YouTube, look up Lutheran Satire if you haven't seen it yet. It's great stuff. All right, so you guys can see this, yes?
Okay.
All right, so how many times should I click the
Click
thing?
it 2
twice.
more times.
Okay. There we go. In the style of a humble wrestler who's performing hip hop.
Perfect. And I already chose who the people were going to be to do this one.
Okay.
So it's going to be, why did I lose it? John's and JT's.
Oh, why is it always me when it's all right?
And Brian, if you want to throw, the wrestler's really yours. So if you want to throw a couple in there to shame them, you're more than welcome.
But it's a humble wrestler. Well, I don't even know what that's. Okay, here we go.
Okay, and I'm leaving everyone else in the stream too, so we can laugh at you.
Just gotta be
Ready,
giving,
go.
brother.
Okay, here we go.
Wait a minute. It's Jenny Anderson. I'd give her an armbar, but hers is probably better than mine.
I'm possibly the best in the world, but it's possible that somebody else is a little bit better. Nathan Huntner, Kathy Jones.
Ken Corsten once tried to put me in a chokehold, and I let him.
Russ Newton, Kim Payton. I'm
you,
one of
Rubber.
I'm an okay guy. I'm better at chess than I am at wrestling, but you can't be good at everything.
Oh, Daniel Zorn!
Good night.